up, everybody? My name is Alex. Welcome to The Broth, the most fun, serious show on the internet. Here live in the Cauldron, got my homie Friendly in the chat. Shout out Friendly. Word, prayers for Friendly. He's under the weather, man. Prayers for Friendly. He's the man. Alrighty. It's going to be a fun one. Lots to talk about, lots to get into. Big show. Gog and Magog. Going to get into this a bit. I got a theory. I think I know what Magog is. Don't know what Gog is. Just gonna let everything get settled for a second here. I actually have something. Dun, dun, dun. Alright, I'll just create a new one here. Just want to pull up some little reference here to work off of. Alrighty. So, as many of you guys know, if we are in the little season, then what we are looking for next, according to Revelations 20, is Gog and Magog surrounding the camp of saints, and then ultimately going to war against the camp of saints. And then comes kind of the final battle, and then God throws Gog and Magog and the flippin' devil into a lake of fire, and all the people that are fighting against them. And I think I know who Magog is, and I think that it's they're already surrounded the camp. This is going to be a little controversial, but this. Why can't it look properly? So as you can see here, if the camp of saints is in the north, the tremendous amount of migrants that have come into Europe and America, but especially Europe, and basically what people call a great migration from the global south to the global north. It fits the bill. And now I'm certainly not calling white people saints. But one way to interpret this is that the camp of saints is Christendom, and kind of that the old buildings, the old architecture, are like the tents of the camp of saints, right? It could also be that the camp of saints refers to a more literal camp of saints that are there right now. People have suggested the North Pole. We still have people surrounding the North Pole. People are coming north. And, we can't be afraid to be called like a racist or something stupid like that when we're looking at the Bible and trying to understand what's going on and where we are. And also, very clearly, Magog is a people. It is a group of people, a people meaning an ethnic group or a nation or something along these lines. Now, there are basically two groups of people that are invading um, white countries. One is, and it's not just these two groups, but the two main groups are Muslims who come in various types, but could absolutely be Magog, and that's sort of the case I'm going to be making. But there are also there are other groups that are allied with Magog, and so a tremendous amount of immigration is coming from India, especially into Canada, basically becoming India in Canada over there, and also Africa. But a lot of the Africans are Muslim, and it kind of all fits together. I'm not seeing any issue with this fitting the bill in terms of the biblical descriptions. So we'll go through some of the biblical descriptions. And if this is the case, we're pretty darn close because if in case you live under a rock, Europe is especially England is about taken over by Islam. England, many of the positions of serious political power are now are now occupied. Those seats are being occupied by Muslims, Muslims who have been in Europe for a generation, maybe. And it's quite insane that they allow this to happen. But part of Satan's deceiving all nations is he's really put a veil over the eyes of most white people. And this also gets into the predictions of Marie-Julie Jahenny, which we can talk about as well. She predicts a civil war in Europe between native people and foreigners. And we seem about on the brink of that. Now, there still is to come the biblical great deception, which certainly a fake alien invasion would fit the bill for that still. I think it is quite notable that if you think about it, the concept of aliens, the entire concept and an alien invasion, none of us would have that concept without like Hollywood and the people who are in the business of deceiving us. So it sure seems like they created that concept and narrative for a purpose, and it does fit the bill. But I feel like that doesn't seem very far away either. Really quick pause. I want to show you guys something cool. My wife just got this. She works at the local library, and there's perks to that. They constantly are getting books donated, and they're constantly cycling books out of the library system to sort of become used books that they sell very inexpensively. And my wife working there kind of gets first dibs on a lot of stuff. Check this out. Smith's Bible Dictionary from copyright 1948, but original copyright 1884 by Porter and Coates. Because you just came home with this. I don't know, who's behind this. Is it the deceivers, or is this some real Christian stuff? But it's pretty awesome. It's got basically all of the terms in the Bible that you need to know. Ninevites, Nisan, Nizrak, Nitra, Noadiah, Noah. And it's got illustrations. So I might just, if this is a good source, I might just keep this handy at my desk here when I'm doing research on Little Season and the Bible and stuff. Sure. Let's go through. I got four concurrent viewers, maybe 6. This is a record for me. Let's go. And this is my 29th episode, 30th coming shortly. I feel this is a good episode for that because this is sort of this bridges the two worlds of where I'm coming to this from. One of politics and the other of the Bible and religion. And there's many worlds. Anthropology was my degree. Brings in a lot of stuff. But, Yeah, this is a real thing. White people have been had the wool pulled over their eyes, and it's not great. But this the extent of this seems like a biblical scale thing. If you believe in the Bible, and if you're looking at the timeline like we are, then I don't see this is staring us right in the face. This is Gog and Magog. Now, I don't know what Gog is. Gog is a leader. It suggests most people think it is a human, or it could be a spiritual entity, but a single entity. But it could be something like a collaborate, a council, maybe a group, people that are orchestrating this, and people are orchestrating this. This is not organic at all. Um, so yeah, pretty interesting. Here's a good visualization of the invasion of Magog. Make this a little bigger here. As you can see, so it's 1 point for each country, right? So mainly you have this area here, India and the Middle East, just pouring out into America, Canada, Russia, Europe. Australia is getting in on the action too, unfortunately. And then you have basically a trivial amount of migration other than that pattern. So, yes. Here we have UN's. So the UN is complicit in this. Tony Saruga is a high quality follow on X, by the way. The UN's replacement migration is a global initiative. So remember how for years, if people talked about replacement migration or used that word replacement as white people, you were called a bigot and a racist and a conspiracy theorist and all the other names. Well, here's the thing that's real. Here's the United Nations Digital Library. Replacement migration is a solution to declining and aging populations. So I remember how they used to tell us that the world was about to collapse because of the climate, and that the problem was that people were having too many babies. There was overpopulation, and that you're selfish for having babies, and it's terrible for the environment, and particularly white babies are particularly terrible, and white parents are particularly selfish, and because they are not only they're going to continue the legacy of the institutions that created this horrible system, and blah blah blah. As they describe the system of Satan, and it turned out they were lying. There was no population problem. If there's a population problem anywhere, it is in places like India and parts of Africa. But there's plenty of space in freaking Africa too. One of the most sinister things I've ever seen in my life was how they went from telling white people that there's too many of them to then coming up with a solution for why the problem that there's not enough of them. And that happening in the course of 6 months or something. They went from one to the other. These people are evil. They hate you. They want you to die, or they work for people who do. And it is, in one sense, it is racial. We'll talk about, we'll show some people who think of it that way in their own words. But also, I think, is biblical here. And in some sense, it's beyond racial, because we're talking about principalities of darkness. So what else can I show you? Talking about people explaining how this is racial in their own words. Here's a guy. His name is Thomas Barnett. He's the director of the Israeli Military Consultancy. And this is his book from the Pentagon's New Map, or this book is called The Pentagon's New Map in 2004. He says, The ultimate goal is the forcible coordination of all countries of the world that shall be achieved by mixing the races with the goal to create a light brown race in Europe. For that reason, 1.5 million immigrants from the third world shall migrate to Europe every year. The result would be a population with an average IQ of 90 that is so dumb to grasp anything but intelligent enough to work. European countries would never again be competitors in the struggle for global domination, and a multiple millennial old culture would be destroyed. He's saying that like it's a good thing. Irrational people who will fight against this, quote, irrational people who will fight against this, quote, mingling of races and put up any resistance against global world order should be killed. I guess that includes me and probably you if you're listening to this. Yeah, that sounds insane. That sounds too crazy to be true. Why don't we see if it's true in real time right now? Because after a while, after you hear a few quotes like this enough times and verify that they're true, it doesn't seem too crazy to be true anymore. And that's where I'm at. Thomas Barnett. Let's see. Should we use Grok? What up, Junks? Good to see you, man. Thomas P.M. Barnett quote. Race mix Europe. Oh yeah, I typed it in like it was a Google. Let's see what it does. All right, yeah, that works. Now, if this turns out to be a fake quote, we will be clarifying that. This is a widely circulated quote attributed to Thomas P.M. Barnett's claim that he wrote this in his 2004 book. Here's the quote that we just wrote. Quote is a fabrication. Linked to conspiracy theories, including the Great Replacement. But we just looked at a UN book called The Great Replacement. Let's see. He does discuss globalization and migration, including reference to Europe needing approximately 1.5 million immigrants annually to support its aging population, a figure he cites from 2001 study on replacement migration. Okay. But he does not advocate for the forced racial mixing agenda. I mean, if you're putting a 1.5 million people in there, instead frames migration as a practical response to demographic and economic challenges. God forbid they just encourage Europeans to have babies. Young people will need to move from the gap to the core, or more specifically, the old core. This is what UN calls replacement migration. Okay. What is the actual quote then? So it says it's a fabrication, but then it says it does, it's like, well, he does say that, but he means it like in a good way. Okay. Here's a couple quotes. The United Nations Population Division estimates that Western Europe will need to import roughly 1.5 million workers each year through 2050, simply to maintain its current ratio of workers to retirees. This is a factual observation. I hate, and Croc, you're supporting white genocide here. Plus, quite frankly, as a father of a transracial family, I simply like the idea that humanity started out light brown, then spread into diversity shades, only to someday returning to that middling color. All right. Well, I'm not convinced that quote's not real. Based on Grok right now, since it didn't seem to be super accurate. But here we have Richard Kalergi. The Kalergi plan is a good thing to know. about, because we're living in it. We intend to turn Europe and North America into a mixed mongrel race of Asians and Negroes ruled over by Jews. Now, I'm sure he didn't say that either, but that's what's happening. Yeah, they say a bunch of words of country. I mean, he says that they're gonna do something to destroy a people, and then they say there's some people will irrationally push back. Insane. There are 150 million people that would move just to the U.S. if they could. That's a little less than half of the population of the United States. So, by the way, this is the United Kingdom now. And there's a tremendous amount of examples of this. They're in the streets. They're everywhere. I saw a video recently. This young woman she's like a journalist, and she's trying to talk to the people, and she's wearing like Western attire, and she's talking to this woman in a burqa, and the woman in the burqa is like you look naked. You shouldn't be in public. And she's like, this is my country. Like, I'm respectful of you. I'm not judging you if you want to dress like that, so you don't judge me for how I dress. And she's like, no, I am judging you. And she's like, no, I know you are judging me. And she's like, yeah, that's what I said. Like, yes, I am judging you. And it's like she was realizing in that video that they've made a great mistake inviting this. I think this is Magog. I think this is Magog. I mean, it's right in front of us. And it's nothing against like individual people, but groups are real. All through the Bible, there's groups that are, you happen to be born in one of the groups, and that has consequences. That has a realness to it. Here's Bill Maher. And I don't want to get too much into like just I'm not going to spend that much time because I'm talking about Gog and Magog. Like, I want to talk about the Bible part, but this is important to know also.
Like all white.
Yeah, it was.
So can we just celebrate that
And?
victory that we made a place more diverse and not, you never get a pat on the back.
No.
The people who achieve, I feel like in that area, there's only there's more to do. Of course, there's more to do. So London was like all white.
It's like what? It's so they're talking like it's everybody understands that places being too white is a problem. Of course, everybody knows that London used to be white, just implicitly, and that's bad. And then now it's a majority not white, and that's good. And we, like he says we.
Yeah, it was.
So can we just celebrate that victory that we made a place more diverse? And
We made a place more diverse. These are 3 Jewish guys, by the way.
not,
And why aren't we getting a pat on the back?
No.
The people who achieve, I feel like in that area, there's only there's more to do. Of course,
This
there's
is
more to do.
insane.
So London was like all white.
But there's more to do. We need to make more of Europe minority white. So is this Gog? This is Gog, maybe? Let me check out the chat, catch up a little bit. Da-da. I think you might be right about this, man. Yeah, I think so, man. I think it's really staring us right in the face. Is this not surrounding the camp? Is this not Magog surrounding the camp of saints? So this is kind of interesting. There's actually a book about this, and it's called The Camp of Saints. It's a 1973 French dystopian fiction novel by Jean Respire. Don't know how to say that. And it's about this. Now, I don't know if he was a little seasoner and was thinking of this in terms of real literal biblical terms, but he certainly was drawing an analogy.
The Camp of the Saints by by John Raspail, a controversial novel examining immigration and cultural identity. A journey begins as a flotilla of refugees set sail, challenging Western civilization's moral compass. As they reach Europe's shores, societal tensions mount, questioning humanitarian values. On urban streets,
No, that's way too quiet.
as communities grapple with cultural and identity crises. In conference rooms, leaders debate migration's impact on global society and security. Strategic discussions unfold, weighing cultural preservation against humanitarian compassion. Symbols of Western culture stand amidst chaos, questioning identity and legacy. An apocalyptic Paris serves as a backdrop for the narrative's dire warnings.
It's literally what Paris looks like now. In 73, it didn't.
Solitude,
Prescient in some
individuals
way.
face the ruins of a once thriving civilization. Contrasting scenes of serenity remind us of what's at stake in this discourse. Today's urban landscapes evolve, reflecting ongoing debates on cultural identity. Current tensions parallel past fears as societies confront their future paths. Historical conflicts echo through time, shaping modern perspectives on migration. In government halls, passionate debates continue over national identity and policy. Amidst ruins, hope grows. Communities rebuild, redefining cultural narratives.
So that's a book called The Camp of Saints that's about this. And this book had a big impact. Steve Bannon embraced this rhetoric, and he was vilified as a racist for it. I guess because this book is racist, because not wanting hordes of foreigners to take over your country is racist.
This situation in Syria just didn't pop up like.
It's funny, like this video is supposed to show how bad he is, but to me it just makes Steve Bannon look cool and like he knows what he's talking about.
Last week. You can't say it any other way. It's been almost a Camp of the Saints type invasion. Really, it's not a migration. It's really an invasion.
Like they're literally showing the images of the invasion, but I'm supposed to think he's wrong.
Call it the Camp of the Saints.
Off of the apocalyptic novel written in France back in the 1970s that people said was racist and nativist. I mean, this is Camp of the Saints, isn't it?
This kind of global Camp of the Saints.
We are in an outright war against jihadist Islamic fascism.
What we call this Muslim invasion of Europe.
I don't know how you call it any other thing, but a Muslim invasion.
This thing just didn't happen by happenstance. These are not war refugees. It's something much more insidious going on. There's something deeper when they see the potential of civilizational jihad as personified by this migrant crisis.
There's clearly a fifth column here in the United States that needs to be dealt with. Don't we have a problem? We've looked the other way
Who
on
are
this
they,
legal
Steve?
immigration that's kind of overwhelmed the country. When you look and it's got 61 million, 20% of the country is immigrants.
Yeah, no,
Is that not a massive problem? We just got to figure out who is here. There's at least some portion of quote unquote Muslims that are, if not radicalized, at least believe in Islamic supremacy.
These are not Jeffersonian Democrats.
It's crazy how this was like a hit piece 8 years ago, just playing his words.
These are not people with thousands of years.
Well, it's a top comment. The fact that they hate it so much means you should read it that much more. It's actually a really good book. The reaction to it proves half of its prophecy. Steve Bannon is right. Congratulations on your bankruptcy, HuffPost. Calling the Camp of Saints racist is proof the blasphemer has not read the book. The book itself is profoundly human, insightful, and spiritual. The Camp of Saints is not objectively racist just because some commenters say so. Go read it. Wow, the comments are all based. He's right. The Camp of Saints is a great novel. I got to read this. Camp of Saints is happening right now. Yes, this novel just predicted what happens in 2023. I urge everyone to read The Camp of Saints. It's easily available in PDF, and then tell me if you support third world mass migration to the West. October 2021, 400,000 migrants will be expected to cross the border. The goal is 20 million in the next few years. If anything, this book is being proved correct, except for a few differences. India and China are no longer nations of abject poverty. though I read the author chose the nations in those novels to try to diffuse the potential opposition if he had chosen Africa, the Middle East, to be the source of the invasion. Well, it's all of them. The whole point of the book is to tell the story of how Western Christendom gives up without a fight as it is destroyed, as its leaders are morally bankrupt and traitorous. The events since this book has been published basically show that this happened. I blame the First World War and Western Christendom as Western Christendom committed suicide on the battlefields of Europe. This person knows what's going on. Second World War physically, morally, and spiritually finished off what remained. Yes, but it's not over. The veil of lies that Satan put over us is lifting. Campus Saints used to be brilliant, a sobering work of tomorrow's real dystopia today, until it became a, quote, racist novel by a, quote, white supremacist, a, quote, white supremacist poet, haha, okay. Well, we have some. I'm just kidding. Why can't they lie to us just once, then stick with it? Meanwhile, the Campus Saints describes multiple sudden mass migrant crises from Asia and Middle Eastern third worlds to France, changing the face of France forever. Yeah, so everybody's on board.
Of understanding democracy
Everybody's
in their DNA.
You only vet if you're going to let them in. Why even let them in?
Those given the high honor of admission to the United States should support this country and love its people and its values. We cannot allow a beachhead of terrorism to form inside America. We cannot allow our nation to become a sanctuary for extremists.
In 2017, that was controversial. That sounded racist. That's crazy. God, it was awful. So this is from today. We'll get into that, but we'll talk about some Bible quotes. Boink, boink. Where did that go? So Gog and Magog come from Ezekiel and Revelation. Those are the places that we know about them. I believe there's some in extra biblical texts as well. We can get into that a little bit. So Gog is from the land Magog. He is leader of a coalition of nations that God will judge. And by the way, Christ can redeem in case this needed to be said, Christ can redeem anybody. So if any of these, any person in any of these Muslim hordes or whatever, Hindu people, find Christ, then they will cease to be the enemy of Christ. He will welcome you at any moment. So, in a sense, there's certainly a racial element to this, but then there is the transcendent that goes beyond it. And, ironically, like a lot of the most traditional Catholics these days want the next pope to be the black cardinal because he's like super traditional. I'm forgetting his name. It is like a woman's name for his last name. So, just as an example of like faith transcending. The word of God. Okay, so anyway, Ezekiel introduces Gog and Magog, says, the word of the Lord came to me, Son of man, set your face against Gog of the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. Prophesy against him and say, this is what the sovereign Lord says, I am against you, Gog, chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. I will turn you around and put hooks in your jaws, and bring you out with your whole army, your horses, your horsemen fully armed, and a great horde with large and small shields, and all of them brandishing their swords. Persia, Cush, and Put will be with them. So, Cush is, what do you call it? Ethiopia. Persia is Iran. Certainly Persia, and so then if Gog is like basically Islam, Turkey is the center point of I would say if all these Muslims in Europe, I will say when, yeah, Cardinal Sarah, thank you. Momentum Mori, what's up? That's what's on my always remember death based name. So, yeah, this is all relevant today. These people still exist. Later in Ezekiel, it says, "Therefore, son of man, prophesy and say to Gog, this is what the sovereign Lord says. In that day when my people, Israel, are living in safety, will you not take notice of it? Will you not come from your place in the far north, you and many nations with you, all of them riding on horses, a great horde, a mighty army?" So this is kind of throws us off a little bit, coming from the far north. This is why a lot of people thought it was going to be Russia, because Russia's north and rides on horses. But Russia is very Orthodox Christian right now. So, interesting. Not sure what to make of that. Maybe we have to look at some translations. Maybe north is, this is throwing us off a little bit. "Gog, I will bring you against my land so that the nations may know me when I am proved holy through you before their eyes." This describes Gog's invasion of Israel and Gog's purpose in allowing it. And so then by Israel, we are taking this to be Christendom, not the state of Israel. Let's see here. Still in Ezekiel, this is what will happen in that day. "When Gog attacks the land of Israel, my hot anger will be aroused, declares the sovereign Lord. In my zeal and fiery wrath, I declare that the time there shall be a great earthquake in the land of Israel. The fish in the sea, the birds in the sky, the beasts of the field, every creature that moves along the ground, and all the people on the face of the earth will tremble at my presence. The mountains will be overturned, the cliffs will crumble, and every wall will fall to the ground. I will summon a sword against Gog on all my mountains, declares the sovereign Lord. Every man's sword will be against his brother. I will execute judgment on him with plague and bloodshed. I will pour down torrents of rain, hailstones, and burning sulfur on him and his troops, and on the many nations with him. And so will show my greatness and my holiness, and I will make myself known in the sight of many nations. Then they will know that I am the Lord." Chunky coming with the receipts that Israel is a Christian people, Galatians 6:16, 1 Peter 2:9. Thank you, Chunky. Then it says, so God is going to destroy Magog and Gog when they attack, which is good news, probably. "Son of man, prophesy against Gog and say, this is what the sovereign Lord says. I am against you, Gog, chief prince." I think I read that one. "And on the day I will give Gog a burial place in Israel in the valley of those who travel east of the sea. It will block the way of travelers, because Gog and all his hordes will be buried there. And so it will be called the valley of Hamon-Gog." So then we have in Revelation 20, where a lot of action is at. "When 1,000 years are over, Satan will be released from his prison and will go out to deceive all the nations in the four corners of the earth." So we are here. "Gog and Magog, and to gather them for battle." So Gog and Magog, it says, deceive the nations in the four corners of the earth, Gog and Magog, and gather them for battle. So that makes it seem like this is a coalition. "In number, they are like sand on the seashore." Yes, there's a lot of Muslims and Indians and Africans. "They march across the breadth of the earth, surrounding the camp of God's people in the city he loves." Like so. "But fire came down from heaven and devoured them, and the devil who deceived them was thrown into the lake of burning sulfur, where the beast and the false prophet has been thrown. They will be tormented day and night forever and ever." So this kind of supports this. I mean, it's certainly the only thing that throws a wrench in it at all is the coming from the north part, and have to look into that to see if... Now, one way to look at that is if this is written in the Holy Land, what's to the north? Turkey. Go away. Turkey. I don't know why I'm in some other language. Straight to the north of Israel is Turkey, so that could be what we're talking about. Not that Israel, I'm not switching Israel between meaning Christendom and meaning the state of Israel. I'm saying they wrote this in the Holy Land. We're referencing a place to the north, so that could make sense. Now I had some dope like little charts of all of the people and places that are listed there. I even sent them to Friendly. Here, I guess I can get it that way. Just bear with me for 1 second. Let me pull those up. Where'd they go? This is like, oh, here we go. Here we go. Okay. I'm new to Windows, so don't. Here we go. Okay, now we're cooking. Thank you for your patience. All right, so Gog, I'm positing this could be a Zionist leader, or it could be the Zionists in general, but also certainly, traitorous Europeans are helping here. But they're being traitors in order to serve something other than themselves. So it would be that thing. I'm thinking Magog is Islam, and then we have Meshech. That's Turkey. Region or people under Gog's rule. Okay. Tubal is also Turkey. Region or people under Gog's rule. Then we have Persia, an ally with Gog. Okay, next one. Can I just do that? That's not even what I meant to do. It's crazy. I don't even know what's going on right now. I guess that works though. All right. Somebody get me a freaking assistant here. All right, Persia, ally with Gog, with shield and helmet, modern day Aram. Ethiopia is Cush. Ethiopia, Sudan, ally with Gog. Libya, ally with Gog. That's modern Libya. Gomer, ally of Gog. That's the Cimmerians. Anatolia, Black Sea. I'm not sure who that is exactly, but interesting. Garma. The North Quarters, ally of Gog and all his bands. This is Turkey too. A lot of this is just Turkey. Then Israel is referring to the church. I did not know I could drag stuff into OBS. That's cool. All right, then we have Sheba. So gets interesting here. Sheba, Southern Arabia, modern Yemen region. Sheba is actually allying with the Camp of Saints. And here we have today Saudi Arabia not taking the side of America over Iran. So that's interesting. Then Dedan is Central Arabia, Saudi region. Also, same thing. Tarshish, the merchants of Tarshish with Tarshish, all the young lions, therefore observers asking about spoil. So this has been thought to be Spain, which is interesting. I don't know. And then the young lions associated with Tarshish, allies of the Tarshish, i.e. Western colonies. So interesting stuff. All right. Guess I can delete these or something. Cool. And then, okay. All right, we're cooking. Thank you, Friendly. Appreciate that, buddy. Catching up on the chat here. Real, I try to remember to do a sign of the cross before jumping into the Bible. Seems small, but it'll go a long way, I promise. For sure. Got it from Sap. Yeah, Pine Sap W. Alrighty, so that is my presentation on that. I'm pretty sure I'm right. And what this means is we might be pretty close to the final battle, and when God starts smashing Gog, and it's going to be a bumpy ride for all of us, I think. If mountains are falling down, that's something serious. And we're talking about God who, when he makes mountains fall down, breaks up Pangea and stuff like that. So I'm not expecting, he promised it wouldn't be as serious. Bro, you're texting me while I'm... I just had to turn it so it doesn't notify me in my computer. Otherwise, it's totally fine. It could be coming quickly, and don't fight for Gog or Magog, and pray to Jesus and have some extra food, and I think you'll be fine. So anyway, interesting stuff. Now, somewhat relevant to this, but who knows how much, is today Trump was meeting with Netanyahu, and everybody wants to know, does Netanyahu run our country or what? And I watched most of this, mostly unremarkable. It's kind of what you would expect to see generally. Nothing like, I didn't see anything where I was like, I was embarrassed to be an American, and I didn't see anything where I was proud either. But this part was interesting.
We're having direct talks with Iran, and they've started. It'll go on Saturday. We have a very big meeting, and we'll see what can happen.
Does this man look comfortable?
That, doing a deal would be preferable to doing the obvious. And the obvious is not something that I want to be involved with, or frankly, that Israel wants to be involved with if they can avoid it. So we're going to see if we can avoid it. But it's getting to be very dangerous territory. And hopefully those talks will be successful. And I think it would be in Iran's best interest if they are successful. We hope that's going to happen.
So this guy is squirming around very dramatically. Kag Drogo says Netanyahu looks very nervous and unhappy. Trump's announced he's having direct talks with Iran to avoid a conflict. That was the part where he started looking uncomfortable to me. He's stopping the Wesley Clark 7. There will be no war with Iran. Now, hopefully he's right about that. But let's just listen to this again and look at his face. And as soon as he says direct talks, he starts squirming and his eyebrow on one side goes up. And you're like, oh.
It'll go on Saturday.
Now this happened. The same thing happened when he was here last. And Trump goes, America's going to take Gaza. And he starts squirming around again like he had no idea he was going to say that. So I'm not going to try. I'm not going to try to convince anybody of what's going on with this. Okay, because we don't know. But I'm just bringing our attention to this. This is a man that is so cocky about his influence in the United States. He once bragged that we have America, or we could tell him whatever we want. He recently was bragging about how we were arresting people who protest Israel in America. Not Americans, but still people. And I was sort of not opposed to it in principle, because I just want people who hate white people and hate America to get out of here, to be deported, foreigners. And that group is included with it. And I was kind of like, well, listen, if we're not going to have, we have to have the stomach for this. We can't get touchy-feely about them because we also don't like the Gaza genocide and stuff. But as long as there haven't been other people, they're the only ones. So it's not cool. Usually Trump does something based and walks back. Yeah, I mean, you said that yesterday, and there's some truth to that.
We have a very big meeting.
But what's the purpose of making Netanyahu squirm twice, 2 times in a row?
It would be preferable to doing the obvious, and the obvious is not something.
And also, I don't know. To me, he looks more nervous than somebody who's I don't know, man. I guess he could be that nervous that he's not going to get his war with Iran. But it's almost like he's nervous, that something bad for him, not just that he won't get his way, but that maybe something really bad will happen from his eyes, And now he seems like an evil man, so perhaps really bad for him in his eyes just means that we don't just bomb, have a World War III with Iran. I genuinely think Trump might be trying to say he's blackmailed. Well, that's what people are saying about RFK, and it's almost like with RFK, it seems like there's kind of a strategy where maybe he is blackmailed, and maybe he's sort of making it look obvious by saying things like anti-Semitism is, the real the real pandemic and whatnot. And people are like, "Are you freaking kidding me?" Now he's saying that people need MMR vaccines for measles, when not that long ago he's on record as saying that you actually are healthier if you get the measles because it's like the chicken pox. And so, yeah, maybe, I mean, I don't think, I've had this theory with Trump and blackmail for a long time. I think that you don't get as high as he's gotten without people thinking that they have some control over you, generally. And people, but stay with me. I also think that most people hate him, and that's not a joke, and they're scared of him. And those are the people that I want to be scared and hate my guy. But there's a thing that a lot of people don't think about. Trump is old, and we know he's never, he was speaking out on Epstein a long time ago, and he's spoken quite frankly about kind of not being into that type of thing and thinking it's gross, but not in a sanctimonious way, because he has his issues too. And back in the day, in his day, think about the 70s or early 80s when he was coming up, you could blackmail somebody from having an affair. You used to be able to blackmail people just having had a previous marriage, having been divorced, people don't know about, having a kid out of wedlock, that sort of thing. But none of that can work anymore. So if I was blackmailed by people like that, and then we came to an agreement where it was okay, you control me a little bit, but then you help me. And then years go by, and now there's no potency to that stuff, I might just start doing what I want, doing whatever I want, a little bit more, and then placate them a little bit, and make them think, no, maybe we do still own them and stuff. And you could do a lot with that little wiggle room, and you could wiggle your way right into just destroying your enemy that's been doing this to you. So I don't know. It's interesting that you say that. Getting the money he has incurred blackmail on himself. Yeah, I mean, yeah, people point at that he, I forget who it was, but somebody bailed him out. Some Jewish financier bailed him out when he was down. But, like, I don't know, like, people sometimes talk about blackmail as if it's some sort of, like, magic chains that makes you do what people want. I mean, there are cowardly people where it effectively is like that, and there's blackmail that's so heinous that it effectively is like that. But I don't see Trump fitting either of those categories. So what it essentially becomes is it's an instrument of persuasion, right? It's not like, well, you do what you say or else. It's like, well, it would be but it would be inconvenient for you for this to come out right now, wouldn't it? And it's like something that's not that bad in the grand scheme of things. And it'd be like, he has to weigh that, well, that would be inconvenient right now. And then on the other hand, he might say, well, screw you, bring it. And he seems to be in screw you, bring it mode, Reverse the stance on H-1Bs. Yeah. It's Chunky, chill out, okay? All right, buddy. You're making good points. You always make good points, okay? Just, glad to have you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here, buddy. I love you. Freaking, yeah. Well, that's about it, man. I amazingly just wanted to lay this out. I think we figured out I think we figured out the surrounding of the Camp of Saints, and it's gonna be interesting. So. Yeah, I'm gonna get out of here. I'm teasing, but you get it. What am I? Tomorrow I'm not here. I'm meeting with our priest. My wife and I are meeting with our priest. It's our last meeting before getting ready to be baptized, for me to be baptized and everything, and then we're going to get married in the church on Easter or very soon thereafter. And we're going to just do something nice. It's an hour drive into town, and so we'll do something nice while we're in town. And so I'll be back Wednesday. And yeah, God bless you guys. Shout out Friendly and Chunky. Love having you guys in the chat. We got one thing, Friendly with just dropping wisdom bombs. One thing's for sure, there's no shortcut solution to this. We got to pray and take any W's we can. So true. Griper Long March. So true. So true, yes. Trump is certainly not going to solve all our problems. Only God. Even God is going to we're going to suffer. We're going to suffer. I don't think anyone's getting raptured. And we got to fight for what we believe in, regardless of if we like the guy or hate the guy in power or what. So, all right. I'll see you guys on Wednesday. God bless.